Hi everyone, it's a pleasure to be here. And I'll spend about 5 to 7 minutes with some ideas about learning, education, about knowledge, and about the role of academics in this revolution that we're all being part of. And just maybe a brief mention about revolutions. What we have learned about revolutions in markets, in new technologies, in new generations of technology, is that usually in the beginning of the revolutionary period, there's a huge promise about change, all the things that will change, and how big the market will become. And actually, the initial results are very disappointing. Things are changing locally, very small, and the pace of change is not actually very fast. So people say, we will be here, but actually, we are here, right? But something happens in that process when all of the building blocks are in place and the ecosystem gets transformed. Change accelerates, and the end result is much more amazing than anyone thought. For example, mobile phone revolution. Could have said that we would have 120% mobile phone penetration today. No one would have guessed that, but it happened. But in the beginning, mobile phone adoption was below what people expected, and then suddenly something happened, all the elements were in place, and just exploded. So my hope is that we will see, we are building like the bricks, we are putting the system in place, and when things are set, the pace of change will accelerate and will mainstream social innovation. Now, how does that play into learning? What are some of the innovations I'm seeing? And what's the role of academics in all of this process? There could be an argument to be made about academics will be disrupted. Academia will be totally disrupted because learning is happening within networks. It's peer-to-peer, it's distributed, it's democratized. So we don't need knowledge repositories anymore or knowledge holders anymore. Knowledge is everywhere, and if we share it, it will be available for all. Just think about Wikipedia, the revolution that Wikipedia is. How many of you use Wikipedia? Raise your hands. Every one of us, right? And Wikipedia said, I don't need an expert to tell me what is X about. I'll just ask the network, the world, to put their knowledge in, revise each other's knowledge, and we'll have our best kind of definition for each thing in the world in every world language. Impossible to make in a centralized kind of command and control system like a normal British encyclopedia or even the software encyclopedias we had by Microsoft before Wikipedia. Amazing transformation. So does this mean that we don't need academics anymore? I actually would make the devil's advocate argument. I think we probably need academics, at least the good academics, more than ever. Let me give you maybe 2 arguments for that. One is about complexity of our world and how we act in a complex world. Some people are very good at instinctively knowing what to do. They're very entrepreneurial. But the world is complex. So if you want to found a hub, how do you do it? You could join 80 hub founders in a meeting, get all of this experience, get 2 days of discussions, and then you take a checklist home about 100 things that worked for creating a hub. Okay? And that's complex. That's complexity. It's complicated. Do I deploy these 100 things in my hub? But you could also have someone or an entity that says, okay, let me look at these different experiences, see the patterns across all of the hubs, and distill the essence. Let me, in a parsimonious way, codify what I'm seeing in this complex reality and distill the few elements that actually explain the end outcome. So maybe if I do that effort, I see, well, maybe there's 3 things that are important in each hub. You need to find an initial institutional sponsor that gives you a prime location at below market rates and becomes an initial sponsor to give you credibility. You need to build the network of the hub before you set up and launch the physical space to get momentum going. And maybe you need also to engage people in a high engagement model in which people don't just come to a space, they feel members of a network that they want to contribute to. And if you have those 3 elements in place, all the rest takes care of itself, and the hub will likely to be successful with 90% likelihood. So that's transforming a complex reality into a simple set of principles that explain most of the complexity we see. So that's knowledge codification, and that's what academics are trained to do, and they are good at doing, researching a reality and distilling the essential facts. So don't ask maybe someone in academia to be a manager. They'll be awful at doing it, but ask them to see patterns and to distill the essence, and then be able to be very good at it. And they may add knowledge on that. So to some extent, you may have a lot of knowledge in dispersed networks, but you still need some element of codification, of distilling the essence in a parsimonious way, and that's the role of academics. There's a second thing why you may need also academic learning, is the pedagogical expertise. We are very time compressed and time conditioned. Time is the only scarce resource in this day. We are all rushing from place to place. Our attention span is very short. Many of you are doing email and doing iPhone and listen to me at the same time. We don't have time. There's so many interesting things to do, right? So what we want, ideally, is to compress a very effective, tremendous learning experience in a short amount of time. For that, we need to understand about pedagogy, how people learn. How people learn by doing or by kind of pretending they are doing it. And you asked me about some of the innovations happening, and Jeff mentioned about these new accelerator programs. Why are they so popular? Because you learn as you are doing and launching your ventures. Instead of saying, let me analyze a sector and write a business plan, and that's my output, you're actually trying to launch your venture, social or commercial, in an intense, either 2-day, we do a 2-day bootcamp at INSEAD, it could be a 1 week or a month. But by doing, as you think about what you're doing, you are learning, and that's why these programs are becoming so popular. It's a way of filtering from a lot of people while they are learning in the implementation process of their venture. So they're becoming very popular because it's a powerful pedagogical experience. And so academics are also good at developing these powerful pedagogical experiences that allow you to learn a lot in a very little amount of time. So maybe we can come up, imagine, with a 1-day program that distills the essence of creating a hub in a way that people experience what they should do and what happens if they don't do those things. And that's powerful. People learn by experiencing, not only by listening. So those are 2 reasons why, alongside the distributed learning that we have in the networks, we may also see a role to be played by academics in a broader sense, or at least good academics. Now, what we have often in our universities, as Mark and I go from a long way since Stanford, now Oxford and INSEAD, what we have is usually dysfunctional academics, where maybe we spend too much time talking to each other and not enough to the field, and don't really develop the pedagogical expertise. But if we have good academics, you would have knowledge, codification, we have pedagogical expertise, and we bridge it together in kind of an organizational setting. So in terms of what innovations I'm seeing these accelerator programs that are happening a lot because they allow you to learn by doing. I'm seeing the rise of this hybrid model of organizing, not charity, not for-profit or profit maximizing, but hybrid, impact-driven, but sustainable. We don't yet have good legal frameworks for these social impact, social business, social enterprise, but we are developing them in each country, and models are being developed. Let me tell you, managing a social impact organization is very difficult. Everyone wants to do it, but the reality of things, when you have to make day-to-day decisions about who you hire, how do you motivate, how do you keep people engaged, how do you decide between financial sustainability and the impact that you want to create, those decisions are very difficult to make. You can make them at a local level. If you want to scale and delegate those decisions to others, it becomes very, very difficult. That's why creating a strong identity for the hub will be key in allowing people to have kind of a template on which they know how to make these compromises, these trade-offs as they go along. Now, what's my dream and the project I'm personally involved? I would like to see the rise of a hybrid organization that I would call, for the lack of a better name, a social business school. In a sense, a place where we study the reality, focus on the reality of social enterprise and social innovation, where we spend our time doing knowledge codification, studying what's happening, trying to come up with the right models, developing pedagogical expertise, and serving the community with great programs. And itself, a hybrid organization that builds from academics, is tied to the field, and is focused on impact. So what I'm trying in my own work to build is the elements of this social business school, because I think the business schools that we have today are still a bit far off from being useful and valuable for the rising social impact, social innovation field. So an additional, I think, building block of the ecosystem that we want to build would be the social business school. So here's some ideas that I'll leave you in terms of the power of the learning networks, also the role of academics, and what could be kind of a new model of academia focused on social impact. Thank you very much.
Thank you.